Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to learn about absolute value. Our learning goal today is I can determine the absolute value of a number. What is absolute value? Absolute value is the distance from 0 on the number line. The distance is always positive. Now let's look at some examples. Let's look at the absolute value of -6. We are going to start at 0 and count how many spaces to -6. The distance from 0 to -6 on the number line is 6. So the absolute value of -6 is 6. Now we are going to look at the absolute value of 3. So we're going to start at 0 on the number line and count the spaces till 3. The distance from 0 to 3 on the number line is 3. So the absolute value of 3 is 3. There is a key note that we are going to include. Negatives outside of the absolute value bars will remain negative. We are not talking about the negatives inside the absolute value bar. It's only if the negative is on the outside of the absolute value bars. Let's look at some examples. We are going to start with number 1. What is the negative absolute value of 6? So for this problem, we are going to start by looking what's inside the absolute value bars, which is 6. So the absolute value of 6 is 6. Now remember, we are going to look at the outside of the absolute value bars, and there is a negative. Negatives outside of the absolute value bars will remain negative. So we bring that negative in our answer. So the negative absolute value of 6 is -6. Now we are looking at number 2. What is the absolute value of -9? So let's start by looking at inside the absolute value bars. There's a -9. Remember, the distance is always positive. So even though it's a -9, it is still 9 spaces from 0. So we will write 9. Now let's look at the outside of the absolute value bars. There is no negative, so our answer is going to stay positive. So the absolute value of -9 is 9. Now go to the UTry page and do the problems on there. If there's any you struggle with, please bring them to class and we will go over them. Also write down any questions you may have from the lesson. Thank you.